Welcome to the 7th episode of the Ninja Podcast. In today's episode, we'll be interviewing Josiah Pippel. This episode is sponsored by our gold sponsors, Vertex Labs Academy, a STEM and Ninja Warrior facility located in Alexandria, Virginia, Salty Ninja Memes, an Instagram account ran by an anonymous user that chronicles ninja memes, The Art of Ninjas, a graphic design page that creates designs for one or many ninjas for a set price, Meditare LLC, a salon playing to open in Virginia in 2023, designed to cover services extending to the skin, hair, nails, and Reiki. Slap Chalks, a company created by A&W 15 competitor Joseph Ruse that produces easily washable shorts with a chalk pocket. And Ninja Garden, a Polish-based company that specializes in building ninja holds. All right, welcome to episode 7 of the podcast. Today we have American Ninja Warrior 13 and 14 competitor Josiah Pippel, who made it to stage 2 in season 13 and made it all the way to stage 4 last season. Hey man, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. So just to go over some general ninja topics, how would you say your ninja skills have progressed over the past year?
I'd say definitely from the end of season 14 after making it to stage 4, I kind of had this fire in me. I was like, that can't happen again. I need to start training more and more. I did take a little break after the season ended just to recover and just to kind of have a break because, it was just go, go, go. You had filming, qualifying, semifinals, Vegas with NNL Worlds, and Ninja Sport Network championships mixed in there. So it was 5 months of just go, go, go almost every weekend. So I took a little break, and then I really stepped it up. Started training rope, started training multiple times a day, 2 or 3 times a day, 5 days a week. And so, I think from the end of last season going into this season, my skills have progressed greatly.
Would you say that you were initially demotivated at all by the fact that you weren't able to get to the top of the rope?
I think I had not even 5 minutes. By the time I was at the bottom of the tower, I was just happy to enjoy the experience and get to share it with the 4 others. Yes, it was a little bit demotivating, but at the end of the day, I was I'm 17, I'm going to get another shot. And even if I don't get another shot, there's plenty of other things that I want to do in life and that are fulfilling, that even that one failure isn't going to define me.
Right, and it's keeping yourself almost, I'd say, grounded in appreciating the scope of the event that you went to, because you basically got third out of I want to say 500 ninjas. I might be wrong in that number.
Yeah, so I think it was 400. I got third out of 400, and the small amount of people that have ever gotten to stage 4, more people have been to the moon than people who have gotten to stage 4. So to be part of such a small and unique group is just it's fulfilling in itself.
Yeah, I think it's single digits. It's somewhere around 8 or 9. So to say that you're one of 8 or 9 who have made it to the final stage, even if you didn't beat it, it's an incredible accomplishment just to make it there in the first place.
Yeah, and I think in the past, season 13, Caden getting there alone, that was amazing. But for the 5 of us to get there last year was just an amazing experience, and we kind of created this bond that will last forever.
Would you say that some of the guys that had been there before, specifically Caden, because he had attempted what was more or less kind of the same stage 3 archetype last season? By last season, I mean season 13. Would you say that it was a little bit easier because you've sort of seen them attempt most of the same obstacles before?
I'd say we all are very similar skill level, but yes, for Caden, he's been on stage 4 literally the year before, and RJ's also been on stage 4 at some point. So that would give them a bit of an advantage, but I think all of us are at such a level now that it's negligible. We were all giving it our best, and we all knew we could do it.
You all would have made it regardless, even without the leg up that Caden had.
Yes, I think all of us would definitely be on stage 4, regardless. Caden would be there, even if he hadn't have been on stage 3 last year, and RJ would definitely be there.
Yeah, that makes sense. What was the experience like right after you beat stage three? And like, what would you say is your recommendation to anybody who does so, like to how to prepare for the final stage?
Yeah, so we filmed stage 4 the night after I filmed stage 3, so I had like 24 hours. But yeah, so I got off like I literally like was a little bit in shock because like I was standing at the start line of stage 3 and you can see all the way down and just like this green glow of the buzzer, and like literally it's all kind of a blur. Like I remember standing on the start line seeing that, and then next thing I know I'm like standing on the finish platform. But yeah, after that is like what's going through your mind is, all right, now we're on to the next step. Like I gotta prepare for this rope. So that night and the next morning was a lot of recovery, ice bath, and really just preparing. Like at that point, you can't train anymore. Whatever your training was is what you have. So you have to just recover and prepare for the long night. And I think if I have any advice for anybody who's getting there, like definitely make sure you get good sleep. Um, Make sure to eat before you go, because I think all of us, like we were standing on that platform for 2 hours um, while filming stage 4, and I think that takes a lot of toll. So have a protein bar, have something to keep your energy up when you're about to go, and I think that would help greatly.
In terms of energy, would you say that it's mostly about coming into like stage four with the right mindset if you already have the skill?
Yes, I think like all of us can probably climb that rope in under 30 seconds completely fresh, but it's the ability to know how to prepare for it on coming off the back of a week of staying up all night and being in Vegas. You're not in your own house, like you're in some hotel. So it's about being able to prepare and execute your training the best you can with what you have.
Right. It's just like making do with what you have developed like beforehand.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Do you think that if you had like a do-over, like let's say you like get a time travel machine, you go back to stage four with the skills that you have now, but like you inherit like the ability of like being tired, and it's like you inherit like I guess like the physical tiredness, but like you're a better ninja. Do you feel like you can make it to the top of the rope then?
Yeah, so basically I'm just going back in time to like knowing what I know now to that night, kind of coming off the back of that week. Um I think I probably could. I think I've just trained rope more. Before then I hadn't really, cuz like before that the goal was to get there. Like only 5 people have ever gotten there before us. So I think a lot of us were like, we're going to train rope, but that's not the most important thing. Like, you have to get there first. And now that I know I can get there, like, I've trained a lot more rope. So I think going back, I think I definitely could. Um, I want to say I could beat the 30. I would hope. I don't fully know. Like, I'm sure I could. But I definitely could put up a better time.
Yeah, I do feel like some part of it had to do with like the amount of pull that people were getting because it seemed like there wasn't as much pull like there was in previous seasons. At least from my perspective, I don't know what the accuracy of that statement is.
Yeah, a lot of that is like they tend to keep that kind of on the down low. But yeah, that was a factor. I think in previous seasons they have pooled more or less. But yeah, I think that's definitely a factor that came into play.
Yeah, that makes sense. My next question is: who would you say has been your closest ninja friend since you started the sport?
I'd definitely say Joseph Meisner. I mean, we've been friends for like 7 years now, so I started like 10 years ago. And we've been friends for 7 years, and we've just been pushing each other to be better and better. He was on season 13, and he's going to be on 15 as well. But yeah, no, we train like sometimes 4 times a week, and we've just really been pushing each other and building a bond over those years.
No, it's like it feels like he motivates you to be better, almost.
Yeah, I think we're both like motivating each other because we're very similar skill level. So I find that when I'm training with him, I'm I push myself further because like I know if he can do it, then I can do it, and if I can do it, then he can do it. So we're kind of both pushing each other to our limits rather than just stopping at what we think our limits are.
Yeah, that makes sense. Just generally, like, where would you think your limits are, like, compared to like most of the other top ninjas? Like, if you
I
had to put yourself in there, like, where would you like slot yourself in?
I would like to say top 5. I definitely say top 10, but yeah, I think hopefully somewhere in the top 5. My skills, especially in NSM over the long days, are something I need to train. But on a single course, I definitely say like I can be top 5 consistently. I have been top 5 consistently, but yeah, so I'd say top 10 to top 5 is where I'd put myself.
Where would you like put yourself in like let's say we had like a ninja video game and it's like the rating system would be like NBA 2K, like 1 to 99. Like would you give yourself like a 96 or like a 97?
So I think speed is one of those things that I am really good at, and kind of long burnouts towards the end, I'm not so great at. So I think that would kind of affect where I am. I'd say like the burnouts would be at like a 90, but my speed would be at the 99. So those, I think overall everything would average out to, yeah, like mid 90s, 95, 96.
Yeah. Would you say that there's like anybody that's at like that sort of like 99 level that's like you feel is better than you?
I think the obvious answer is Caden. I mean, he just does not mess up. I think I've maybe seen him actually like mess up 3 times in the 5 years I've known him. Um, so yeah, I think like he's one of them. I also think like Jay. Jay is, I mean, he's a completely different athlete. I'm 6'1", and he's like 5'5". I want to say. I'm not quite sure how tall Jay is, but we're completely different athletes with different skill sets. So I think he's better at some things, and I'm better at some things. But I think overall, he's probably also ahead of me. On my day, I can kind of hang with them, but I think on average, they're probably going to be both ahead of me.
Yeah. So it's like you're kind of like a little bit below where they are in terms of like relative skill level, but you can like match them on certain days.
Yes, I think overall skill, if we're averaging everything out, they'd be higher, but there are some things that I'm better at and some things that we can kind of match on.
Yeah. To answer your question about how tall Jay is, according to Saskipedia, he's 5'4",
Oh, okay.
which means that I'm like 5 inches taller than him, and I have approximately 5% of his skill level. I mean, I'm still waiting for the call. I don't think I'm gonna get it at this point.
Yeah, I think calls are probably going to go out for another week or two, so don't lose hope yet. But yeah, just keep training. Honestly, that's what I've been telling people. Like, even if you haven't gotten it, train like you have, so that if you
Yeah,
do,
like it's not the end all be all. Honestly, if I don't get the call, like
yeah.
it's
Plus,
nice to be on the show, but like if you're not, like then maybe if you're like still like beat up about it, maybe evaluate like if the reason that you got into ninja is because of the show or because of the sport itself. And
right,
like
and
I got into ninja because of the show, but I also love like Ninja Warrior just in general.
yeah, and I think no matter what, you're going to benefit from training. Like, if you train like you got the call and you do, then great. And if you don't, you still have great training in and preparation for next season.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. I'm excited to see what changes they make for this season. Although I'm not as amped about the semifinals rule, I'm probably gonna have an episode about that coming out soon.
Yeah, I think overall, like once you get to Vegas, it'll be a similar experience, but that whole experience in qualifying and semis, like it changes the whole dynamic of how people will attack the course. Obviously, like qualifying and semis used to just be about finishing, like the whole thing used to be just about finishing, and now like you're gonna have to worry about your qualifier time so you get seated good for semis. And semis is no longer this long 5 minute course. It's gonna probably be like a minute and a half course that you're racing somebody against.
Like Ninja
So it
versus
changes the
Ninja
whole vibe.
almost.
Yeah,
So it's almost like a flashback to the junior days.
pretty much. I mean, I think my skill level has definitely improved in the past 4 years. Um, and I think the way the seating works will also, like, junior was a random seating, whereas this is going to be based on your qualifier, so we have more control over that. So I think the matchups will be very similar towards either end of the spectrum, but I think middle, like those people who are like 12th racing 13th and so on, like 10th and or 11th and 14th, like that will be the races where you're like either of them can win.
Like the cutoff races are going to be like the most interesting to see. I feel like that might actually make the qualifiers a little bit better because then it'll be like everybody is trying to go for like the fastest time possible to get themselves seated as high as possible.
Yeah, I think especially with the lower number of people in qualifiers, I think it'll be a more concentrated skill pool, and I think you'll see a lot of people sending moves that you wouldn't normally see because they know that you have to go fast to move on.
Yeah, so it's gonna amp up the energy. I do feel like it's a little bit artificial though, but like I kind of want to see like how it's tested out first. That doesn't mean that I like it yet. I mean, I don't like the concept idea of it, but it's like, hey, try new things.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of the new concept, but it's definitely like something to try out. And I think they're probably doing it just to try something new because, as a lot of people know, ratings for the show have been going down since season 8. So I think they want to try something new to see if that will boost ratings and see what works.
Yeah, because we're like what now at I want to say like 3 million.
Yeah, and I think season 8 it was in like the 7 or 8 millions. So
Yeah, but you also have to consider that like part of the fact that like the show got so big is because of like all the attention that was on Casey back then. And I feel like that's still like I feel like that was the thing that like got most of the rating.
yeah, I think definitely it's the same demographic but different competitors. So I think depending on how like this season and next season go, I think once we start getting people, like getting fans that come in and are fans of the teens in general, like off the bat, because most of the viewers now have been watching since before the teens were on, so their like favorite competitors are going to be the adults who are now getting beaten by some of the teens, and that's not what they want to see. But once you get new fans in who are watching and like becoming original fans of the teens and wanting them to win, I think you'll start to see a boost in ratings from that.
Right. So to talk specifically about ratings, it's like I'm gonna go by the finale because that's what usually gets the most ratings. So we went from 0.25 in season three, 4.87, 4.04, 5.21, 6.17. So it looks like season seven was the highest. Then it like went from 5.88, 5.96, 5.7, basically 5, and then it tanked in 12, going to like a 2.97, 3.53, 3.14. Um, I feel like some of that might have to do with the fact that COVID basically just tanked season 12's format and it hasn't really recovered. And then I feel like some of the reason why might be because some people stopped watching because they heard about what happened with Drew. I mean, I
Yeah,
don't
no,
know if that might have like taken them away from it, but I feel like it does have something to do with it.
yeah, I definitely think the new format for 12, just like I didn't watch any of 12. I watched the first half of the first episode and then did not watch any of the rest of 12. So I think the new format for that definitely discouraged people from watching. And yeah, I don't really know how Drew would have affected the ratings. Um, yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's like it's hard to quantify in terms of ratings based on like your thoughts specifically about like specific events that occurred. It's like I do feel like that had a really negative effect on the show. Maybe not so much the sport itself because I feel like the sport has been growing, but like I do feel like there's more that
Yes,
the
I
show
think
can get.
on the show front, it probably did have quite a negative, but on the sport front, like I think it made everybody look deeper into the community, and so it might have actually been not a positive, but it probably helped in some aspects
Yeah, it
grow the
probably
community
helped
and push
us.
the
It
community in the right
probably
direction.
helped us get like a bigger look at like how do we figure out what the problem is? How do we notice it beforehand? And now you have like there's now neighborhood ninjas, and then you have salty ninja memes. Like they're actually bringing awareness to this, and I feel like it's a topic that we do need to discuss. Like it's important.
Yeah, no, I've been seeing all the stuff they're posting, and it's definitely a step in the right direction.
Yeah, and I feel like ninja as a whole is going in like the right direction.
Yeah, I think over the past few years, like the community has definitely grown, and I think the show with the teens has definitely like helped us in the community. I think bringing the teens and the adults together, because like I know a lot of people back in season 13 didn't want the teens, like even with the adults. Like I was the first night, and they like had us in separate rooms, and then eventually, like as it progressed, it moved apart. And so I think overall, like the teens being on the show has actually been a benefit.
Right. Like some you see like the Reddit posts about people being like, "Oh, we don't want the teens," but it's like I feel like the show probably would have fallen even farther if we hadn't like made that change.
Yeah, and I think like the teens not only are like bringing a whole new part of the community, because like before it was just the adults, and now you have these teens as who are part of the ninja community who are now also part of the show, but it's again bringing a whole new demographic of kids that are like, oh, they're like my age, if they can do this, what can I do, rather than seeing these adults and being like, well, yeah, they're adults.
Right. It's like a personal challenge, like saying, "Wow, this person is doing this, and like they're younger than me." Like, so I'm 17, and I'm pretty sure Caden's younger than me, and like watching him do that is like, wow. Like I need to step up my game. Like it's a challenge. Like and it's a joy to watch them because like the teens have honestly given me more inspiration to continue my own training. It gives me like a challenge.
Yeah, and I've had people come up to me and be like, seeing you on the show and seeing what you've accomplished is so motivating, and it's motivated me to like push my training, or motivated me to do this or that. And I think like that's the message I want to spread, is like no matter what you're trying to do, if you put your heart to it and like put your mind to it and go for it, like that's going to be better than anything. At least getting out there and trying. Like it doesn't matter if you win on your first attempt or your 100th attempt. If you fail, but you know you can do it and you have the motivation to do it, get back up and try again.
Right. And even if your goal isn't to win, I don't necessarily think that that's a bad thing either. Like let's say that somebody's like just in the ninja for fun. Like this is just my opinion. I feel like most like the mid-tier ninjas might not necessarily have a shot at like getting total victory, but they still keep on doing it because they love the sport. Like I don't know if I'll ever like get to the point where like I'm really really good at ninja, but it's like I just want to be the best that I can be and just like do ninja because I love it so much. And it's like if I can help somebody else like get their motivation up because of that, then like that's the ultimate win for me.
Yeah, like honestly, even for me, like if I go this season and I fail the first obstacle of qualifying, it will still be worth it. One, because I tried, and two, because there's so much more to ninja and the ninja community than just obstacles. Like there's friends, there's people, like there's so much more than just getting on a course and doing obstacles for a few minutes, that even if you fail the first obstacle, it's still totally worth it.
Right. And it's like we're bonded by that love of getting on the obstacle courses and doing it for a couple minutes. But it's like there's like a level beyond that, like a level of kinship, a level of community. Like you were talking about how the community has grown and like I would definitely agree with that. I'd also say that like the community has grown a lot closer in like the past couple years.
Yeah, definitely. And I think like for me, I've definitely made a lot closer friends over the past few years within the ninja community, friends with the adults and friends with fellow teens. Um, yeah, I think just in general, like being on the show and having that experience has been very motivating to step out of my comfort zone. Um, like before the show, like I was like, I don't really like this, and even like on the show, like season 13, my interviews were like kind of meh. Like I would get in the interview room and just kind of give short answer and very not very big energy. And then last season, I was like, oh yeah, no, I've done this before. Like this is super fun, and so I just brought this new energy to it. And so over the couple years of doing the show and just making new friends, it's pushed me to kind of step out of my comfort zone and do things that I wouldn't normally do.
Yeah, talking about things that like you wouldn't normally do. What would you say is like the craziest slash coolest ninja move that you've done? And is there anything crazy that you've got planned that you're gonna like post about soon?
Craziest ninja move. I've hit a couple quads. No, no
Okay.
crazy stuff. Usually the things that I do are like big moves, like big laches. Like I hit a 17-foot 7-inch lache not too long ago. I'd say that's probably like the biggest, craziest move I've done. There's definitely people, Naj and Caden Maslin and stuff, who have been doing bigger moves than that. But yeah, I think I just got a Ninja Source cane, so definitely expect some cane tech videos from me soon. Ring tech. Yeah,
Oh no, Josiah's gonna be the next one to convert to like the Kane Tech, and then he's gonna start racking up millions of views.
yeah. I got to get the views, and I got to use the song.
Right. Like I remember it was back in like July when Stranger Things released, and everybody was using the running up that hill audio, and I'm 90% sure that my most watched reel had that.
Dang. Yeah, no, I posted like four, and the first three got like a couple 100,000 views or something. Maybe not a couple hundred. Maybe it was like 10, 15,000, and whatever the number was. But
Even
and then the fourth one was like terrible, and I was like, well, guess this song doesn't work anymore.
yeah, it's like Ninja social media is trying to figure out what songs work. Like there are times when like I'll get like 12,000 plays on a video, and then there are times when I'll get like 1,000 when like I did a blindfolded salmon ladder, and it's like I don't know. Ninja social media is kind of weird.
Yeah, there's definitely a science to it. Like it's not only what moves you're doing, but like hashtags and audios and all this. And so once you figure out what works, and I think different things will work at different times, eventually there will be a new thing that's working and a new like trend. But once you figure it out, you can just use that and rack up the views.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Going into my second to last question. Out of all the obstacles that you attempted last season, which one was your most favorite and which one was your least favorite?
So I think the obvious favorite was the Mega Wall. Um,
Yeah. Ten
that was
thousand
definitely
dollar worth obstacle, man.
that was definitely my favorite moment from last season too. Even kind of more special than getting stage four. I think my two favorite moments weren't actually getting to stage three and getting to stage four. Well, getting through stage three and doing stage four. My two favorite moments were kind of overcoming the obstacles that I had failed the year before. So season 13 qualifying, I failed the mega wall, and season 13 stage two, I failed the falling shelves. And so season 14, I got both of those, and those were actually like my favorite moments. And the least favorite, I'd probably say Ghost Town in semifinals. I did not like that thing. Like it was so finicky. The amount of people who got just slightly too much swing and popped right off of it. Like you can see in the run, like I take like 5 extra swings just so I'm not doing big motions because I was so terrified that I would just like swing slightly too far and pop off.
Yeah, so it felt like a rickety gym obstacle that like, you'd see at like a suspect gym with like bad health policies.
Yeah, no, it wasn't even that it was built terribly. Like it was just so slidey, and so like the way you had to do it, you pretty much just got a little bit of swing and then muscle it was the best way to do it, because like doing it any other way, like literally, I was watching Naj's run and watching Cal's run, and they just had a slight kick forward and they fell.
Yeah, I mean, like I think Najee, Bob Reese, Jeremy Warders, and then Cal failed it.
Yeah, and it was literally the only time I've been on an obstacle and like been hanging there and being like, I just want to get off of this. Like usually most obstacles I'm like chilling on, but that one was like,
Yeah,
no,
most
I just
obstacles are
want
like
nothing
a
to do
good
with
to be
this.
on, but then there's like some obstacles that you're like, I'm terrified, and I don't want to be here.
Yeah, no, it was just not a fun time. As soon as I got through it, I was like, whew, finally that's done. I can move on.
Get back to the power tower.
Yeah, 0 for 2. But hey, at least I got there twice.
Speaking of the power tower, like, what are your goals going into A&W 15 in leagues?
Yeah, so I'm not sure if there's a power tower this year, but if there is, like, obviously getting there again would be big. I don't like now knowing that I can get to 4 without using a safety pass is great. I think having one is always nice to have, but the knowing that you don't necessarily need one is always like a boost. And so going into it, like, I'm not gonna give it up, but
But
it's
like,
not something that I feel like I need.
yeah, like it's not essential almost. Like if you didn't have it, you wouldn't be like it's the end of the world. Like
Exactly. Like last year, I didn't have one, so if I don't have one again this year, like I know I can do it. It's just if I do have one, it's kind of an extra little safety in the back pocket.
right, essentially like an insurance policy to like just have something to guard against if you make like a silly mistake.
Pretty much.
I mean, I'm just thinking like Caden with a safety pass would be like the most scary thing ever.
Yeah, because like he does not need it. So,
Because you know if he messes up, he's clearing the second time.
oh, 100%. Like the man doesn't mess up on the first try. So if you give him a second attempt,
I
there's
mean,
no way.
thank God there's not a safety pass on stage four. He would have gotten like two total victories by now.
I think. Wait, what do you mean?
Like, I'm glad that there's not a safety pass for stage four. Like, they didn't get a do over because I feel like you probably would have been able to beat it.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure about running it back to back because like I feel like there's no more training you can do and there's not much you can learn from it that quickly. So I think even if you got another attempt in the same year, like there's not a terrible amount you can improve within an hour or so. Like I mean,
Right.
he improved a couple seconds in a year, so maybe he's a little bit faster. Maybe he's even a little slower because of the fatigue.
Yeah, that's a fair point. But still, I feel like stage four is probably like the equalizer because like it just matters about how fast you're climbing. It doesn't necessarily matter how you do it. I mean, like if you have a way that works that gets you up quickly, then go for it.
Yeah, and I think last year like all of us used different techniques on the rope. So like, and we are all very similar in time. Like me, Jay, Caden, we're all within 2 or 3 seconds. So I think it doesn't necessarily matter how you do it. It matters how efficient you are at the way you do it.
Right, right. That makes sense. Man, I'm excited to see if somebody can get to the top this season.
Yeah, I think if we see a similar number of people get there as did last year, whether it be the same people or different people, well, if it's 5, it's definitely going to be different people. Um, as Josh isn't coming back, but I think
Still
if you
can't
get
believe
5
Josh
people on there again, there's a good chance that somebody's getting total victory, if not multiple people getting up under the 30.
Yeah, do you think if somebody gets to the top and wins this season, then they'll call it?
I think possibly. I think that was probably what their idea was. Like they were probably like, if I think it's going down, so like once they get another total victory, or at least once they're done with the filmings that they have contracts for, they will call it.
Right. But then would do you feel like another company might like see a value in picking up American Ninja Warrior
I
or
definitely think if NBC drops it, somebody else will pick it up. But I think they can't end without another total victory.
Yeah.
Given who the last total victory was, and if they choose not to acknowledge that, then they have one total victory, and it was in season 7.
Well, they could
So
acknowledge Daniel
they
if they
could,
cast.
but again, he didn't get up in the time limit, so it's definitely
No,
like
but Daniel in 12 when he won the tournament. But then again, that
true.
was under a different format.
Yeah, but I think overall they will probably want to have a total victory either in 15 or 16, and then call it.
Yeah. And then NBC drops it, and then maybe like ESPN or somebody gets it. I'd rather ESPN gets it because then I can just like cancel every other cable subscription and just like have ESPN and then have NBC for NASCAR. That's it.
Yeah,
Those are the only two cable channels I need.
American Ninja Warrior now coming to F1 TV.
Ninja, NASCAR, and Formula One. That's just about it. That's all I need. Well, that's all I have. Thanks for coming out, man.
All right, sick. Thank you.
Before the end of this episode, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all of our sponsors, not just our gold sponsors, but also our silver and bronze. We'll be starting from gold and then working our way down. So, in order, I'd like to thank Vertex Labs Academy, Salty Ninja Memes, The Art of Ninjas, Mandatory LLC, Slapchalks, Ninja Garden. Those are all our gold sponsors. And then for our silver sponsors, we have Squire Squad, Ninja Warrior vs. Battle of the Ninjas, World Ninja Sport, Jump Climb Extreme, Obstacle Athletics, the Racing Association, Everybody Loves Racing, Memes for Ninja, A&W Discord, It's Sarah's Beehive, Blattenbauer Backyard Builds, Ninja 23, and Shinobi Fitness. Thank you to all these amazing companies/businesses for being willing to sponsor us, and we hope that you enjoyed this episode of the Ninja Podcast. Every need for Ninja and more.